Hello again, everybody. Um, I'm, I'm going to come and talk about something today that I want to talk about. But first of all, I squashed a moth, and I'm just putting it by the ruler here so that you get an idea of the size of this moth. It is, what, 5 millimeters long by maybe 1 millimeter wide. And I really want to emphasize just how tiny this is. And here as well, I will hold a ruler next to the sugar that I'm putting in. And again, as you can see, this is 8 millimeters, this entire width of this piece of greaseproof paper. So yeah, I put the moth into Queen C because I've had quite a few comments saying, are you going to feed her protein? And as I've said before, they really aren't interested in protein until the next lot of larvae are coming along. I mean, the queen might eat a little bit just so she can lay some more eggs. They will probably store this until they're ready for it. But I want to get across that protein should not be high on your agenda. And to try and emphasize my point here, at the moment you're watching normal speed footage of the moth having just gone in, and you can see there was a little bit of panic around because something new had come into the tube, but there was no interest in the moth. I ended up taking here about 20 minutes worth of footage. I mean, there's the colony. You can see the state there. They've got 11 workers, I think. I took 20 minutes of footage here. And what I've done is I've just speeded up that footage and cut loads of it out. There's bits that I just cut out because nothing was happening. I mean, yes, eventually they paid this moth a little bit of interest, and they're going to do something with it. They're going to store it probably and feed it when they need to. But protein is not that important for new colonies at this stage. The other thing that I want to emphasize again is just look how small this is. Look how tiny this piece of protein is. I've seen people putting entire mealworms. I mean, this is the speeded up bit now. There's loads of footage here that I just speeded up of them effectively ignoring it, paying it little bits of attention, but really not that much. No excitement. Not like the whole colony suddenly buzzing because it's got protein. And yeah, going back, you shove in something like an entire mealworm or a whole roach or something like that because you've seen other ant keepers talking about these types of foods, and then people will go onto the forums and stuff and they will post and they'll say, oh, my ants aren't eating, is there something wrong with them? No, there's nothing wrong with them. And yes, they're probably eating tiny little bits, but if you feed ants that size of meal when all you've got is 11 nanitics, they're not going to be able to get through it. And the same is true with sugar. Again, be very careful how much sugar you feed them. You don't need to stuff in huge amounts. I got bored of waiting for them to do anything with the moth, so I actually gave them some more sugar as well at this point. You can see how small these drops are, and this is only the second feed they've had ever. They had a feed last Thursday. This is their second feed 4 days later, and it's a tiny amount, but this is enough for a colony this size, and they will go crazy for sugar, as you can see. And the problem, if you feed them big amounts of sugar, they'll throw themselves straight into it and get drowned. They go mental for sugar at this stage, and also you don't need to feed huge amounts. A, because they don't want it, and B, because if you want to give them more, give them a few more drops tomorrow. You'll know as well then when they're filled up, because as soon as they're full on sugar and the colony can't take any more, then the little drops of sugar that are left over, because they don't want to get stuck in them as they dry, they'll tend to throw any old pupa cases into them, which actually makes taking their trash out a nice easy job. They'll probably still actually put the pupa cases on the piece of greaseproof paper anyway, even because it's got a little residual bit of sticky on it. Again, this is all speeded up of them getting very excited about the sugar. But again, look how small these portions are. Please don't go mental and overfeeding your ants when they're at this very early stage. They're very fragile, they're very new, and people they put in far too much food. So that's my little sort of tale for today and what I'd like to advise. Um, there's a little bit of footage that tags on the end here of one of the other colonies. I think it's A, actually, aggressive A, yeah, of her eating, because I fed them all some sugar tonight. They're all doing well. Two of them have got 11 workers. I think A and C have got 11 workers. Oh, a little bit of three-way tropalaxis going on here, look. Yeah, so A and C have got 11 workers. That's A's workers there. The queen didn't go down for A. And B has got 9 workers, I think. So they're all doing fine, and they've all had a second sugar feed. And then finally, people have been asking about the flavus. Well, one thing, I have mentioned it in comments, but I haven't made a video about it. I did catch a second queen, and I have a 2-queen flavus colony going here. And yes, as you can see, they have laid eggs, and that's where they're up to at the moment. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye, everybody.